free to join me in this short discussion. If you're a man and you're above 45, and this is just about fact of life, you're a man and you're above 45, just know that you are a possible subject for prostate cancer. It is part of who we are. And as a matter of fact, before you die, starting from 45, the possibility of having prostate cancer increases at every single year you put on top of it. The best thing to do is don't forget to go to regular screening. I've been telling myself there's no need for it. But the truth is, there is need for it. You might be super active now. But just as it is, prostate cancer doesn't just ravage individuals immediately. It starts slowly. So avail yourself of whatever opportunity that there is, and try as much as possible to go for the screening. In the past, there wasn't so much care for it. In the past, it was more or less victimized in a way, due to our superstitions and belief. Some people feel ashamed about it, but we have known now that it's a fact of life. You're a man, you have white hair like me. That is not really white hair. You understand what I mean? From 45 years especially. Once you click 40, a lot of things change. Just be obvious about that. When I reached 40 years, I realized that getting down from my bed, it became Herculean because I wasn't training a lot. So to come down from my bed, the knees are very heavy. The joints are shaky. And just like that, just 1 month, I noticed it. And then one day I realized that I couldn't read what is written on my phone screen. I said, what is going on here? What the hell is going on? Yes. Once you reach 40, your body, as a man, your body changes. For women, they start expecting menopause. And that's life. We don't have menopause as men. Sorry. And I'm saying this as a biological reality. I don't talk about social or personal belief. I'm talking about biological reality. As men, we don't have menopause. But as men, we are the people that usually have prostate cancer because we are the ones that have prostate gland. There are more ways to cure it now than in the past. So please, make it a routine to go for tests, screening, checkup. Let's avoid the things we can avoid. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because the hottest news around the world now is that Joe Biden came out yesterday, on Sunday, that he was diagnosed with prostate cancer. As a matter of fact, my heart and my prayer goes out to him. But it is a little bit fishy if you consider that for the past 1 week, there had been heated discussion about covering up his mental acuity. And then on Friday last week, Axios released the tape of Robert Hur interview with Biden, where he couldn't remember when he was vice president. He couldn't remember when his son died. He couldn't remember when Trump was sworn in as president. Now, there are a lot of reasons why you may not remember things. But forgetting the year your son died, you may forget the month it's cloudy. I don't think it will be cloudy because this is your first boy. Your first boy died. You forgot the year he died. Let me be nice. You forgot the year he died. You forgot when you were serving as a vice president. You didn't know why, probably. Why am I having 2017? That means there was something written as he was usually given some paper, copying paper. Why am I having 2017? He had to be reminded that that was the year Trump was sworn in. It was so painful to see that. So while that discussion concerning the cover-up of the cover-up was going on, they threw in a flashy object that Joe Biden has stage 4 prostate cancer. And anyone that have read one or two things about prostate cancer, it doesn't spread that fast. According to some doctors who thought it can take as much as 10 years to get to level 4. As much as 10 years to get level 4, to metastasize to the bone, as is the case in this time. So, but then, why is it now that they talk about his mental acuity, his mental availability is going on when suddenly they talk about the prostate cancer came up? And there was this 2022, and he was having an interview, he was having a press conference, and he said, I was diagnosed of cancer. The media called it a gaffe. And Jean-Pierre called it a gaffe. They covered it up. Probably it was true. Because if it takes some time, up to a decade, for prostate cancer to metastasize it up to the bones, and just as a doctor, the medical doctor, the creator of Obamacare, doctor was saying that there's no way this cancer started any time the last 200 days. It's more than that. So that means either it's a categorical lie to deceive, or just to find a way to distract, a shiny object to take people's attention from what a lot of people are considering the greatest cover-up in the history of world politics. That Joe Biden is sharp as attack. He's doing numbers on everyone, including Jean-Pierre. And the one was saying he works, and he was reading my book. Oh la la, read my book. They have fooled everyone, but now they're fooling themselves. So let's see what news is hot today and where. Okay, let me see this news talking about the war in Ukraine. As we all know, that's long-awaited discussion between Trump and Vladimir Putin has happened. And this is a news from BBC. He's saying that, excuse me, let me shift young man from the way. US President Trump says Russia and Ukraine will immediately start negotiation towards a ceasefire and an end to the war after a 2-hour phone call with Russia counterpart Vladimir Putin. Isn't this overdue? This war has been going on since 2021, sorry. All that the Europe has done is put gasoline into the fire, hoping that the fire will go off. Don't you see the irony? You are adding gasoline to burning fire. And the reason was because you want it to burn out as quickly as possible. Even if it burns out, the residue of the gasoline is still there. That is the irony of what money US, Europe, and any part of the world has put in Ukraine to fight against Russia meant. Why do I say that? Does it mean that I wanted them to allow Russia to crush Ukraine? Of course not. It's only an evil man that will that the survival of the fittest is the only way we will live in this time of the world. I say that because the time the world was using to coordinate to get this money together, the number of months it took, the several meetings they had, the disagreements and agreements they struck, if they invested such amount of time in diplomacy, roundtable discussion, bringing people who listen to each of the sides to the table to talk to negotiate peace, by now, those people, they are estimating that at this point in time, up to 5,000 are dying every week from both sides. Wouldn't be. Now, if it is 5,000 every week, consider that 5,000 families are losing their children every week, or half of it, some people who have two or three multiple children in the family. Is it worth it? And at the end, they still lost a large portion of their land, much more than Crimea that Russia took earlier in 2014. So why is it this way? Trump, who described the conversation as having gone very well, also said conditions for peace would need to be negotiated between the two parties. So it's not just about ceasefire. Ceasefire is just to stop the killing, stop grinding the Ukraine and Russian human beings like bacon. Just stop the killing. I don't know why the world is so much full of bloodthirst. Kill, 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 kill. It doesn't make sense. Why do you have to shoot when you can see it? It doesn't make sense, and nobody has tried to answer this question. Despite the note of optimism from Trump, who also spoke with Ukraine President Vladimir Zelensky, any ceasefire or peace deal does not appear close. The call was just made yesterday. How on earth will you see the result instantly? It's not a video game. Every single time somebody is trying to give a hand to this war, it is watered down. This don't show that they don't. It is them that don't want the peace, the ceasefire to be successful, because the call was just made yesterday. If the call was made yesterday, it meant at least, presumably, there have not been a sitting between the two people who are discussing the ceasefire. It doesn't make any sense. He said Ukraine will immediately start negotiating towards a ceasefire. They start that is it. They start negotiating towards ceasefire, not they start ceasefire. There are two different things, and BBC of all people should know this. But they managed to squeeze in their doubt. Any ceasefire or peace deal does not appear close. How will it appear close when the discussion has not even started? Putin said he was ready to work with Ukraine on a memorandum on a possible future peace. He ready to work with Ukraine on a memorandum on a possible future peace agreement. That what kind of grammar is that? While Zelensky said this is a defining moment and urged the US not to distance itself from talk. You see that? You see the positive tone the two people involved, the two heads of state involved are sounding. But BBC was already raising their hands. Nothing is possible. It's not anything close. It has to start for it to materialize. That's how the world works. The world is not inside the editor's room, and neither is it on top of the editor's desk. In his remarks, the Russian president did not address demands from the US and European countries for an unconditional 30-day ceasefire. After his one-on-one call with Trump, Zelensky reaffirmed Ukraine's desire for a full and unconditional ceasefire And one, if Moscow is not ready, there must be stronger sanctions. Stronger sanctions by who? Is it Ukraine sanctioning Moscow or who? I think if you ask me, Zelensky is not in any position to even suggest anything. It's his country. He watches children. These are like his children. He watches children born in us every day. Who does that? If your president is supposed to be the father of the country, have you ever imagined you have 10 kids, you watch one of them go and die every day on a particular piece of land? Will you do that as a person? Let's say your brother is doing that. Will you be supporting him, giving him more food so that the kids will go and die more? It's only a monster that will do that. And that is why I say the EU and US got this one wrong. They dropped the ball. Diplomacy would have been the best solution. What is the problem? What is the solution? Is it workable? Is it not workable? What do we do? Rather, they are throwing the money that even them, all of them are benefiting from taxpayers' money. They go to work every day. They get paid from taxpayers' money. Then they neither manufacture or give any service. That's why it's easy. Dish the money out as much as possible. But if it's only money, it would have been easier to at least fathom. But these are human beings. They talk about Russians like they're not human beings. There are more humans also as much as Ukrainians. And the soldiers are innocent. They did nothing. They're only listening to the voice of the two masters. They said, when two elephants are fighting, it's the grass that suffers. Speaking earlier before Trump's conversation with Putin, Zelensky said he had asked that any decision about Ukraine were not made without his country, calling them matters of principles for Ukraine. I don't think Trump has already made any decision. So that is like putting the cat before the horn. And that he talks too much. He wax his mouth too much. Principles. What principles? Are you talking about principles when you are begging money all the time from them? If you're borrowing from somebody, the principle is that you pay back. And when you're having the money, the principle is that you listen to whatever the person who paid the money says. Unfortunately, that's how the world works. He added he did not have any details on a memorandum, but said once they have received anything from the Russians, they will be able to formulate their version accordingly. Because there have not been any discussion that has started. Writing on his Truth Social page after the call, Trump said Russia and Ukraine will immediately start negotiations towards a ceasefire and, more importantly, an end to the war, adding he had informed Zelensky of this in a second call, which also included other world leaders. This is a man that calling a fascist, a dictator who is ardently looking for peace. That must be a very terrible dictator. That's unfortunately the media have lost their credibility. It's difficult to believe them anymore. So we read what we want to read and we use our head to believe which one is true and which one is just a figment of their hate. The condition for that will be negotiated between the two parties as it can only be, because they know details of a negotiation that nobody else will be aware of. Yeah, and that's it. Bring the two to the table. Bring the two together. Or is it not Martin Luther who said, you cannot talk on a table you are not seated? Bring the two to the table and leave aside all these people who the majestic thing they are doing is just give money when other peoples are dying. It is crucial for all of us that the United States does not distance itself from the talks and the pursuit of peace, because the only one who benefits from that is Putin. He explained that's Zelensky is talking about. Not everyone benefits if there is a peace talk. Putin also benefits. Ukraine benefits as long as you people are able to sit on the table. Talking at a White House event later in the day, Trump said the US will not be stepping away from brokering talks between Russia and Ukraine, but that he has a red line in his head on when he will stop pushing on them both. That means to your tent, O Israel. I give up. So whatever you want to do, you do. My hands are out. That is not what they want, but I don't wish that Trump does that. In recent weeks, Trump has repeatedly warned that the US would step away from negotiation as he became increasingly frustrated at the lack of development from both Moscow and Kiev in the way of peace. When asked on what he believes on Russia, he said he thinks Putin has had enough of the war and wants it to end. Who doesn't? These are people's kids. In as much as you are protecting your motherland, but with whose blood and sand, with whose blood and treasure, who is sacrificing the most? The people who never negotiated for the war. They're the people who would have rather had peace talk than gunfires. We have agreed with the US president that Russia will offer and is ready to work with Ukraine on a memorandum on a possible future peace agreement. This type of mumbling of things from the whole BBC is writing this way, so appalling. This he added would define a number of positions, including principles of the settlement and a timeline for concluding a possible peace agreement, including a possible ceasefire for a certain period of time, should relevant agreements be reached. Yuri Ushakov, an aide to the Russian president, said a ceasefire timeframe was not discussed, although Trump, of course, emphasizes his interest in reaching one or another agreement is as soon as possible. Yeah, there's no timeline because it's an ongoing discussion. If you can't say, I want it to be done between now and 2 days. No, because the war is no more in any person's hand. Russia has upper hand, even though we don't want to accept it. But that upper hand means that they're killing more people than the other one. Why is it important that they have upper hand? It's not. At the end, both sides are losing because every single day that passes, both of them are losing their citizens. It's not the way to run a country. Zelensky had a second